Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Noel, the Red Devil, and I've just noticed in my shorts I was calling myself the Irish Red because that was a name that I was thinking of as well. So if people are confused on some of my YouTube shorts, just ignore it. It's just me trying to get used to the new name that I've come up with. So Noel, the Red Devil here. So on today's live stream, we're going to be talking David De Gea. We're going to be talking the latest transfer rumors. Also, in the news reported by Mirror Sport, which we will be getting into. If Sheikh Jassim's bid is successful, apparently he will be bringing back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we will be talking about that as well. Now, obviously, not coming back as manager, but apparently his plan is to bring back some legends of the football club, which we will get into. But yeah, so that's what we've got. We've got going on. Sorry, what is? Sorry about that. Looked like we got a little bit of feedback there because I'm actually keeping an eye if we get anybody on YouTube on the live chat. You know, just making sure. Anyway, let's get into the David De Gea stuff because there has been development. So, as you do know, his contract is going to, well, the last time we spoke about it, he had 2 weeks left on his contract and then he could go for free. It looks like we have new developments actually on that. And it comes in from, well, a lot of the media is talking about it, but I think the original report came in from the Mirror. So basically, Saudi Arabia could be David De Gea's destination if the media reports are to be believed. Al Hilal, if that's the name of the team. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it properly, but the club in Saudi Arabia apparently has offered him over 30 million in wages to go to Saudi Arabia. Also, as you know, and this kind of links in, we have been linked to Jordan Pickford. And again, according to some media reports, is that deal is very close. Now, I will get into it now in just a second. I just want to get up this David De Gea report for you because I'm just going to say this as a Manchester United fan, right? And no matter what side of the fence you're on the David De Gea debate, I think he's a legend. I actually have said that I think the disrespect for some quarters of United fandom, especially from those on one of the biggest fan channels, the way they've been carrying on when the news that there was a possibility of David De Gea leaving, I thought was absolutely bang out of order. You don't win the Golden Glove for being a crap goalkeeper. Listen, does he suit Ten Hag's style? No, he doesn't suit Ten Hag's style. But at the end of the day, for people to say he isn't a great goalkeeper is absolutely bullcrap, to be quite honest with you. Actually, no, this report came in from Top Skills Sports UK, and it's their international reporter, sports writer, and transfer specialist at Sky Sports, apparently. And I'll throw it up on screen there for you guys to see. So here it is here. So El Hilal have offered David De Gea 30 million salary per year, as confirmed. Now waiting on the player's side. Lela already given him the green light. Manchester United already working on many possibilities to replace De Gea, with Jordan Pickford deal is very advanced according to Top Skill Sports UK. I don't know how reliable they are, because obviously I'm only new at this game in the Manchester United fandom. I've been on YouTube a long time doing pop culture, but I am a Man United fan and I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. But I do listen to other Manchester United fan channels out there, and I kind of, they will say, who they think are legit and who are worth listening to. I don't know if these guys are worth listening to, but that's what they're saying. And that actually just brings us into a nice little segue of all of this Jordan Pickford nonsense that we've been hearing. And it is nonsense to me. I'm not going to sit back here and say that I am happy that we are getting Jordan Pickford. So Mirror Sport are reporting on that. Also Team Talk and Euro Sport. And apparently Manchester United are prepared in a £45 million bid for this lunatic. Right? I'm sorry, right? I'm going to say this, right? And I know the David De Gea haters are going to hate this, but I don't care. You can hate all you want. I would rather keep David De Gea than bringing this donkey into our club, right? And that's what he is. Listen, Everton are relegation fodder, right? Okay? And he hasn't been great in goal. Yeah, he's more decent on the ball than David De Gea, but he's not a better goalkeeper. He's not a better shot stopper. Not in a million years, is he? Not in a million years. So no, this is an absolute ridiculous deal to be even doing. 45 million. Now again, I'm going to say something, because a lot of these Manchester United fans, especially those on the bigger fan channels, there's one in particular where a lot of fan channels don't like it, but there's a particular channel out there, and they're talking about, we should get this player for 70 million, and we should buy this player for 50 million, and then we should buy this player, but we shouldn't buy this player and buy this player. These not all realise that we've only got around 120 to 150 million budget, and the rest of the money that we want to sign players has to come from players leaving the club, us selling, right? So I don't know where you think we're getting all of this money. United fans out there, especially that big fan channel, telling United should just go out and get this player. So you want us to pay 70 million, right, or whatever the money is for Mason Mount, or whatever money that other people, other clubs want for other players, right, and pay a little bit over the. Where do you think we're getting all of this money? The Glazers are going to be here, right, when the start of the season happens, right? So where do you think we're getting this money, right? And we're going to find it hard to shift players like Harry Maguire. And I have a theory on that, actually. I think Harry Maguire is staying. I think this is why we're in for Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford plays for England. Harry Maguire, even when he's not playing for Manchester United, plays at the back for England, right? Jordan Pickford and Harry Maguire, obviously, when Jordan plays the ball out from the back or whatever, right, they have a good relationship. I think this is what Ten Hag is actually doing. He's probably bringing in Jordan Pickford, not because just he's a cheap option or whatever, it's because he'll work well with Harry Maguire. I don't think Harry is going anywhere. And all of these fans complaining about, we lost Kim. We didn't lose Kim, right? Because his release clause doesn't enact until July, right? Bayern Munich might be talking to him right now, and all the media is reporting that Bayern Munich are the favourites, and they probably are, and that's actually true. But if United also enact that release clause, then it'll be up to the player. The player will have a decision to make. So for all of those United fans and these channels saying, Manchester United are not getting their business done, or they're too slow. They're not too slow. Sure, his release clause doesn't enact until July. So Manchester United fans really need to, to watch out for all of these charlatans out there putting out bull crap. Right? His release clause doesn't enact until July. If United enact that release clause just like Bayern Munich do, the player will have a choice. He will more than likely choose Bayern Munich. But to say that Manchester United are slow in doing their business and or haven't done enough, they can't do anything until his release clause is enacted. And even if they have spoken to the player, which the rumour is they have, he's spoken to Bayern Munich as well. He's free to speak to whoever he wants. Anyway, here's the Jordan Pickford story. So Manchester United prepare a 45 million bid for Jordan Pickford as De Gea's contract stalls. Right? But again, this is not the type of player that Manchester United should be getting in if they want to win the Premier League title. Right? I hear fans saying as well about Mason Mount. Well, if the manager wants Mason Mount, we'll just go with it. Is Mason Mount going to get us closer to the title, folks? Is Jordan Pickford going to get us closer to the title? Right? Is the guy Rasmus Haaland, which we will be talking about now in a minute, is he going to get us closer to the title? Manchester United should be looking at players like Bellingham, but Bellingham's gone to Real Madrid. But we should have been looking at players like that. Frankie de Jong, players like that, Casado, all of these players that Manchester United fans have mentioned as well, and some of them are right with some of the options that they've come up with. They're the options that we should be going for. As for goalkeeper is a very hard position to fill. Right? And sometimes it's hard. Actually, the goalkeeper, in my opinion, and I know there's another couple of channels out there that have spoken about this. The She Devils have spoken about this in great length. It's very hard to replace your goalkeeper. Right? All of these fans mentioning all of these different goalkeepers. Right? But look at the clubs and the leagues they're in. Manchester United is a different league. It's a different step up. Even than Real Madrid. Right, Real Madrid and Manchester United, two of the biggest clubs, if not the two biggest clubs in the world. Right? To play for those clubs is a different experience than playing for any other club. So, changing your goalkeeper, because for fans that weren't around, Peter Schmeichel was very hard. We've had a hard time replacing our goalkeepers, believe it or not. It's the one position where we've had problems in. And before we got, we tried to get Van der Sar before we even got Van der Sar, but then eventually we did get him. But goalkeepers, we brought in Barthez. He was a disaster. You had other goalkeepers that never made the cut. Bosnich. All of these goalkeepers cracked. So, Jordan Pickford isn't it. Mason Mount isn't it, in my opinion. And certainly, I would keep. Personally, I would keep David De Gea for another season than bring in Jordan Pickford. I'd rather spend the money elsewhere. It's as simple as that. We've got other priority positions that we need to fill. And I know that'll upset, David De Gea haters out there, but I don't really care. At the end of the day, we've got to look at other positions that are weaker. And midfield needs a major upgrade, right? And for us to compete and to play the proper Ten Hag way, we have to start buying players in midfield. That's the priority as far as I'm concerned. Get that midfield and the striker position tied down. That they're the priority for me. Right, we could deal with another centre back, and if we can get another centre back, all well and good. But I'd hold back on the goalkeeper, because to get a good goalkeeper, you're going to be paying around 60, 70 million. Then fans want United to pay 50, 60 for Mason Mount, sure, that's what, 120 already gone. That's your budget gone, right? And then they have to sell players to fund to bring other players in. I mean, some of these fan channels are ridiculous. Like, he's are not very good at math at all. Like, we were told, no, regardless of the ownership, because of the fair play rules, because Manchester United, you know, financially are not in a great spot, would have 120 to 150 million to spend. And then to get the rest of the budget up, if they wanted more, if they needed more, they'd have to sell players. And that's another problem that United have. We got a lot of players on like 375 grand a week, and we're mad wages that they shouldn't even be on, right? And most of these players, rightly so, won't want to take a pay cut, right? So it's going to be hard to shift them. Perfect example, right? Perfect example. He's just finally gone, but perfect example is Phil Jones, right? I know he spent most of his time injured, and that's not his fault, right? But when he was fit, nobody was coming in for him, right? His wages were too high. We had to loan out players like Tellez and Bailly because their wages are just too high to get them off the books. And we're going to have a problem when those players come back, even though, you know, they've been doing what they've been doing. You know, their wages are just too high. That's the legacy of the Ed Woodward regime. But anyway, let's get into this Ramos Hoyland news, because there's been developments on that as well. And you know, United have to be smart in the transfer window. And I think this is why it's taken. Look, the international window is now open, but obviously the British window is open, right? But the problem that you have is budget, right? Apparently Atalanta now want 100 million for this kid, which in my opinion they could go on I don't know what they're on, right? I mean, but apparently Manchester United now will offer Ahmad to go back to Atalanta for a year loan, as a bit of a deal breaker to try and get this Ramos Hoyland. He's got a weird name too. There it is. There he is. Ramos Hoyland. So Atalanta, he's 20 years old. Atalanta want 100 million for him apparently now. And this is what happens when clubs find out that Manchester United when clubs know that Manchester United is interested. Now, when I say 100 million euro, it would come to about 85 million pound. And apparently we will offer Ahmad to go the other way on loan to kind of sweeten the deal, to try get a cheaper deal. Now, United have to do, this is what I believe they will have to do. They will have to try and do deals like this, or even do swap deals to try and then pay some cash, because we just don't have the money. And this is why I'm actually annoyed at United fan channels out there. They gear up that it's Man United incompetence of not trying to get these deals done. Listen, they've got no money, man. Right? We're still their ownership is still under a cloud, right? They can only spend what. Remember, The last bit of money that we actually had, I don't think fans realise this. The last bit of money that we actually had was to bring in Casemiro, and who else was it to bring in? Anthony. Remember, if we had went for Anthony earlier, we would have got him for cheaper. If we had went for Martinez earlier, we would have got him cheaper. Yes, United were incompetent there, right? But this time around, they just don't have the money. It's not United's fault that anytime they're linked to a player, and there's a fella on Twitter called Joe who actually brought this up about Chelsea, right? There's Kovacic, right? Apparently, when United were rumoured to be in for him, they were looking for about 60 million. Now he's gone for 35 million to somewhere else, but yet they think they could stitch us over with Mason Mount and ask for 70 million for Mason Mount on the last year of his contract. Right? It's every time Man United go for a player, this is what happens. But Man United needs to take control again. Remember, Man United would never mess around in the transfer window. They wouldn't let other clubs mess them around either. They'd offer a deal that they thought was fair, right? And it was literally basically that deal was in. There was a little bit of room to maneuver, but not too much, right? They'd go, right, this is our initial offer. Give us a reasonable offer. They'd come back and say that, say, no, that's too much. We're walking away, and the club would just end up selling, right? Rather than lose the opportunity to get that money off Manchester United, right? But now, because, these clubs think Man United's rich all of a sudden. We're not rich. We're still under the Glazers, right? It's business as usual, but they're there, and whatever money is available there until that club is sold. I remember, even when the club is sold, they might boost the transfer budget up by another 50 fucking million, so he'll get about 200 million to spend. But that's all he's going to get to spend. He's not going to get to spend too much in this window. So this is the kind of deals that they're going to need to have to do. I kind of feel sad for Ahmad if this turns out to be true, because he did have a good season with Sunderland. Now I did say, and I will hold my hand up, and I will say it. I do think that Sunderland and the Championship is probably his level anyway. But I would have loved to be proven wrong by him being given a chance in the team this season, because he's been out on a couple of loans. He's with Rangers as well, wasn't he? So it would have been nice to see him. But you've got Garnacho, you've also got Palestri coming through, and there's other young players that are already there that I think that he's going to bring through. So Ahmad going back to Atalanta for a year is not a bad idea, because that's where we got him from. So I think, this would be not a bad deal to make if they could actually do it to sweeten the deal. So that was reported 5 hours ago from The Athletic, if you want to actually go and check out that media report. So, yeah, also, as you've probably seen in the shorts as well. So just to give you a quick rundown on some of the players that we've been linked to this week, because, Manchester United get linked to everybody. And, it never really comes to fruition because nobody knows what they're talking about. But here are some of the names that we've been linked to this week. So Ollie Watkins has been in the news. He scored about 16 goals or something last season. We've been linked to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is not going to bring us closer to the Premier League either. He'd probably be okay as a backup striker if we were getting a main striker, but not as a main striker, absolutely not. Ollie Watkins, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Also, rumoured that Manchester United are willing to sell Jadon Sancho for 60 million pound. Now, again, I know a lot of fans are divided on this. Some people think he should be given another season. I was kind of in that camp, and and then I kind of looked back at some of the games particularly near the end of the season, where we wanted them to step up a bit. And while he showed moments of stepping up, to me, Jadon Sancho hasn't worked out for whatever reason. Now, if we want to be a top club again, right, and I hate to bring them up, but it's true. If we want to be a top club again, right, if Pep Guardiola brought in Sancho and he flopped, right, Pep Guardiola wouldn't be keeping Sancho, right? He'd go out into the transfer market, he'd look for a player similar, right? He'd buy that player and he'd sell on Sancho, right? Or loan him out until he can get him sold. Okay? If Manchester United want to go back to what we once were, right, we have to be ruthless, right? And there are a lot of players in that squad that need to be gone. But their wages are going to be an issue. And that's the problem that we've had, the legacy of the Ed Woodward regime, with all of these ridiculous wages that he was given. It was like a free-for-all. It was like a bunch of kids in a sweet shop, the way he was handing out contracts and extensions and, absolutely ridiculous. So we got to be smarter. We've got to be ruthless. There are some players that Ferguson brought in during his reign that were pretty unknown and ended up being spectacular. We need our scouting system used to be one of the best. I don't know if the scouting system was great now, these last few years, I suppose we would have, these players breaking through, but we don't. And that's the sad thing. We failed on every level. But look, Jordan Pickford is not it. Ollie Watkins is not it. Mason Mount is not it. I don't care what fans say. I hate all of these fans that say, oh, it's better than what we got. We don't need better than what we've got. What we need world class. We need potential world class. Right? We need to be that club that brings in exciting players like Ronaldo. When we brought him in, nurture them, make them grow into the player and make them reach the potential that they can. That's what we were great at. It wasn't just about buying best in class, though. But that's what we need to do. We pursued Frankie de Jong all last year. If we were serious about that, we would have just got that deal done. But they're the type of players. Caicedo is another one. He's a young potential world class. Bringing De Jong, he's already a great fucking player. But you bring in Caicedo as well. You got Bruno, you got Casemiro. Then, I don't know if you'll keep Eriksen or not. I would keep Eriksen. I think he did have a poor end to the season. I don't think that injury helped, and he did look. To be quite honest with you, Eriksen just looked like he was bang jacks near the end of that season. So, but we need to bring in more players where Eriksen doesn't have to play as many games. Casemiro doesn't have to play as many games. And Erik Ten Hag seems to be a manager that likes to freshen up his squad, keep the team rotating, keep the players hungry. You know what I mean? He needs players that will adapt to different positions, and that's the type of player he goes for. So, we need to be really doing that. Listen, the Kylian Mbappe story, right? Yeah, that's interesting, because if that was Manchester United of old, and there was even a chance of getting Kylian Mbappe, we'd get him. Now I know fans are divided on him. Some don't think he's great, right? People like me, I think he has the potential to be world class. I don't think he is world class just yet, but I think a manager. If you look at the managers he's had in France, right? He had Pochettino. He's a decent manager, but he's not. In fairness, I was Poch before Ten Hag, but that totally changed. I have to say, even after the two Brentford games, pre-season Ten Hag actually won me over. Um, but Ten Hag would get the best out of Kylian Mbappe. He would make Kylian Mbappe a better player. He's made Rashford a better player. There was a lot of fans, including myself, were thinking that it was time for Rashford to leave. Right? I wasn't nasty about it, but I just got to the point where I was just fed up that, we've been heard. It's like if you are an Arsenal fan and you're listening to people, banging on about Theo Walcott, everybody said he had the potential to be world class, but he never fulfilled that potential. I do think that Rashford is still young enough to reach that potential, and he's coming up to the best part of his career now. So, bringing Ten Hag, or bringing Kylian Mbappe in would not be a bad show if you're Manchester of the old. But, we're not going to do that deal. If he does stay at PSG, he does go next season on a free. And I would absolutely love him to come to United. I would take him in a heartbeat. I'd take him over Harry Kane, to be quite honest with you. I would invest in all the money to bring Kylian Mbappe to Manchester United. A front three, right, that would rotate all the time, but a front three, right, you have Rashford out on the left, Kylian through the middle, right, and out on the right then, obviously, either Anthony or whoever you want to put Garnacho out there, right? We don't know if Greenwood's going to be back in the situation, but think about it. That front three would be able to move into different positions. Garnacho could go out onto the left, Rashford out onto the right. Rashford could also play through the middle. Mbappe out on the left, Mbappe out on the right. You could it'd be a dream scenario. And with Bruno pulling the strings like he has been for Portugal over the international, oh my God, that man. Listen, Bruno, when we signed Bruno, and when we had that upward trend in results, I knew we had gotten a very special player. He had brought us all together, and those players in the club, and he dragged us up that table. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves because all the fans see that want to hate on him just see the misplaced passes. But when he's on it, he is one of the top. Listen, you're looking at world class in my opinion when you watch Bruno Fernandes. People ask, do we have any world class players in our squad? I would definitely say Bruno is world class. And you would have to put Varane in that argument as well. And Martinez, well, he's won the World Cup, right? And and look at how solid we were with him in the back. Listen, he'll even get better in this Manchester United team. He has, if he's not world class already, he has the potential of world class. But we need more of that. We need more players like that, and we can get somewhere. So yeah, that's the story there. So Jordan Pickford, Mason Mount, as you know, we have been linked to, and apparently United are ready in deals for both of those. Or a second bid for Mason Mount, and a bid for Jordan Pickford. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Um, and here's one for you as well. So it's not connected to Man United, but it is a player that has been connected to Man United over the last few seasons. Is Ruben Neves. Apparently, he's gone for 47 million, and he's joining the Saudi league. I mean, again, so by the way, the same team that David De Gea is rumored to be going to, El Hilal in Saudi Arabia. So apparently, oh, they have agreed. There you go. So they've agreed a 47 million fee, right? Now, I know a lot of United fans wanted him, and he said he's a good player. But again, he's not what we need to get us up further up the table. Neves is not going to win us the Premier League. I'm sorry, I don't care how good you think he is. He's not. He's not Man United level. I think fans need to start, going back and looking at our great midfields that we had. Right, Neves, yeah, he'd be a good squad player, and he would be better than what we had. Much better. Yeah, he would be, but he's not world class. But 47 million, but I guarantee if Man United were going in for him, it'd be about 60. So there you go. That's some breaking news there. So yeah, it's Manchester United's transfer window, like every transfer window, is well, let's just say it's very entertaining. Because there's never a dull day when you're a Manchester United fan doing transfer windows. And here's another one as well that I actually forgot to bring up, and that's Luke Shaw. So Luke Shaw put up a photograph on his Instagram post, his Instagram page, um, which I'm going to get up and put on screen for you now, actually. Um, and then a reporter asks Luke Shaw if he's been tapping up Mason Mount. But after he was obviously asked that, or before he was asked that, he put this on his Instagram post, which has gotten fans into a bit of a flutter. Now, I wouldn't read too much into it, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think you need to convince players to come to Manchester United. I think the problem is we just at the moment we don't have the budget. But look, I think Declan Rice is overrated. To be quite honest, I've watched a lot of West Ham this season as well because they were in the Conference League, wasn't it? And I was watching that because I was watching because Irish television shows the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League. So I was watching a lot of West Ham, and I just don't get the hype on Declan Rice until I saw the final where I thought he actually did have a good game and imposed himself on the game, but he goes missing quite a lot. And with the 120 million that West Ham are looking for him, I don't look if Arsenal do that deal, fair play to them. I wouldn't be paying 120 million for Declan Rice. But there he is pictured with Declan Rice, and there he is pictured with Harry Maguire. But why is everybody in a frenzy? Because he wrote Carrington Tour and he actually tagged them in it. So it's gotten a lot of Manchester United fans tongues wagging. Will we sign Harry Kane and Declan Rice? Now I know for a lot of fans that they are the two dream signings for a lot of Manchester United fans. But for me, to pay the money that Tottenham apparently wants for Harry Kane, and if rumours are true, Tottenham don't really have intentions on selling him. But if the rumoured fee of 100 million or 120 million is true for Harry Kane, and then you're looking at 100 million, 120 million for Rice, that's 240 million. And the problem is that United, as it was reported, by the way, that irrespective of who our owners were, United in this transfer window would possibly have a transfer budget of 120 to 150 million. So we ain't getting any of those two players. And this is why you've seen Manchester United, or you've seen rumours of other players we're connected to, but every time we're connected to a different player, all of a sudden, the transfer fee goes out the window. Do you know, I'm actually it's a stupid thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. It feels like to me that every club in England and every club in Europe, every time they know, man, they just want to punish us, want to overcharge. It's like as if we're still being punished for being successful all those years ago. I know it's a stupid thing to say because I know that's not what's really happening, but it feels like that. Feels like any time Manchester United are interested in a player, either Chelsea come in and sniff him and rob him, right, or Arsenal come in and rob him. If not, if we do manage to get the player, we pay over the odds, like we did with Harry Maguire, like we did with Anthony, like we did with Martinez, like we did with Casemiro, right? And don't get me wrong, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd see Casemiro in a Manchester United shirt. I absolutely love the guy. He's been one of my favourite players, even watching Real Madrid. Casemiro's so underrated in that squad, right? When Graham Souness came out and called him a steady Eddie that time, I actually, that's when I was actually going to start my channel. I wanted to come on and do a big rant about Graham Souness and his steady Eddie comment, but I was too. That season, yeah, the season just gone. Just it's taken a lot out of us. We've been on such a wild journey with this club over these last few years, but and there's still pundits out there. I've seen it. Ex Sky Sports pundit. Hold on, where is he? What's his face again? He worked with Andy Gray. Yeah, what's his name? Richard Keys. Yeah, Richard Keys has come out with some nonsense, uh, basically saying that Manchester United's progress under Ten Hag uh, actually hasn't been that impressive. He has said Eric Ten Hag, he has said Richard Keys slams Eric Ten Hag in scathing Man United assessment. He's run out of excuses. Manchester United manager Eric Ten Hag has delivered the club's first trophy in 6 years, but has come in for criticism after back-to-back defeats threatened to derail their season, if you remember that. And then he's come out with comments to say, that basically United spent 220 million and we should have been doing a lot better. And he's doubled down on it again recently, where he has basically said that it hasn't been that Eric Ten Hag. Basically, I think he said that Ollie. Look, Richard Keys. Richard Keys is someone that you don't really take notice of anymore. He comes out with a lot of nonsense. And he's saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was better than Ten Hag. I think getting this squad, what we got, into third place getting to an FA Cup final, winning the League Cup. Yes, we shouldn't have got knocked out of the Europa League the way we did against Sevilla. We should have actually won that game. Um, you know, and I don't care about Sevilla's history with the game, with that trophy. At the end of the day, Manchester United should be beating Sevilla, right? Look, we beat Barcelona, Real Betis as well, didn't we? We should have been beating Sevilla if we could beat Barcelona. We should have. We had to put the performance in like we did against Barcelona. We would have won that Europa League, but we didn't, right? But if you compare to what we were before he took over, the shambles that we were, I would say that Eric Ten Hag has had a very successful first season. And didn't he break the record with the most home wins as well? So he's even breaking records. Look at bottom line is the media out there, whether they're ex-Sky Sports pundits or whether they're journalists from the UK, they've never liked Eric Ten Hag for some weird reason. And even the way they report on Manchester United, you've seen it, right? And they have their clear favourites, these journalists and these pundits, their favourite teams. Man United always get extra stick no matter what happens, right? But to say that Eric Ten Hag hasn't had a successful season is like saying that, you know, that leg got no, that would have been a crap comparison. I kind of lost my train of thought there. We'll forget about that comparison now. But look, Eric Ten Hag has had a successful first season. I wasn't originally Ten Hag in. I was Pochettino. Yes, he can laugh at me, but I can admit when I got it wrong, he won me over pre-season. As I said, we played some beautiful football during pre-season. This is why I'll never make the same mistake again. You know, I've watched us over the last few pre-seasons. We did have a horrible pre-season a few years back. But the last preseason that we had in particular, we did very well. And, you know, Martial, Rashford, you know, they looked, the chemistry between those two looked great. But of course, we got to the season, started the season, and obviously we lost their first few games. It was devastating. So you can't judge preseason, but he did judge. He did win me over. I did like his style of play. But I think, you know, this preseason will be different because Ten Hag now knows exactly what these players are capable of. He'll also know who he needs to keep and who he needs to get rid of. Now, getting rid of is going to be the issue because of all the big wages that these players have. But, you know, getting rid of the deadwood is the most important thing that we need to do. But, you know, it's interesting times when it comes to Manchester United rumours, transfer rumours. And, you know, we get linked with so many players, you don't know who to be believing now. Even those tier one journalists, no, I'm sorry, people call them tier one. Yeah, they might have credible track records, but I think over the last couple of years, a lot of them have missed the mark or have jumped the gun before any official, and it's obvious. But we'll see what happens. Being a Manchester United fan's not easy, especially transfer windows. Very stressful because, you know, as I said, Man United is the biggest name in the English game. It doesn't matter that Manchester City won a treble. Man United are the biggest club, and of course, all the media groups will want to report on Manchester United. So So yeah, as I said, the Ahmad deal. So Eric Ten Hag is willing to sanction a 1-year loan deal for Ahmad to return to Atalanta as a deal breaker for Ramos Højlund to join Manchester United, and that does come in from Steve Bates, who's a freelance football writer, former chief writer for the Sunday People, though. So whether you believe the Sunday People or not, that's what they're saying. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, United have to be smart. In the transfer window, if they've got a limited budget. So yeah, some video footage apparently has emerged of Casemiro with a new hairdo. Obviously, as you know, Casemiro is with the Brazilian squad, who are playing a couple of internationals. Yeah, and a lot of our Manchester Reds are on international duty. So let's hope none of them get injured. So they can go after this international break. They can go and have their little holiday for a week or so, and then they're back then for pre-season to start the pre-seasons. Pre-season starts soon, folks. And United have a packed pre-season. I don't know if people realise yet. There's the kind of the. I'll put it up because new fixtures have been announced. There's one in Dublin here where I live. That's been announced in the Aviva Stadium. But United have a packed pre-season. And as I said, we're coming to the end of the month, so we're not actually far away from seeing Manchester United kick a ball again. But here we go. Here's the fixtures. So on the 12th of July at 4 o'clock, we have Leeds United. And then on the 19th of July, we have Lyon. Then on the 22nd of July, we have Arsenal. And then that game with Wrexham, if you didn't see the Alex Ferguson ad with Ryan Reynolds and the other guy, McNearly, wherever his name is, that owned the Wrexham, they did a great little ad. So, Man United will play Wrexham on the 26th of July. And then Man United then will test themselves against the might of Real Madrid on the 27th, so a day later. And then on the 31st of July, we play Borussia Dortmund. So just to see now if that's all the fixtures now until the end. And we've got more. Then they play on the 6th of August, Athletic Club. And then, of course, our season then will officially kick off against Wolves on the 14th of August at 8. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Wow. Nice. A nighttime kickoff to start off. I like the nighttime kickoffs. So, 8 o'clock on the 14th of August, we will start our Premier League campaign against Wolves. And we end our Premier League campaign with Brighton, folks. So a bit of a tough start to the season because Wolves will be no pushover. So we've got Wolves, we've got Tottenham then under their new manager. Then we've got Nottingham Forest, and then we have Arsenal. So we have a tough start to the Premier League campaign. And then we're up against Brighton, which is going to be another hard test. And then newly promoted Burnley. And then Crystal Palace, Brentford, Sheffield United before the City Derby on the 28th of October, and that will be a huge game, because that will be the game where Manchester United, if they can win these games here and keep a good run going, this will be the game that will judge how far we've closed the gap on Manchester City. And this will be, for me, this Manchester City derby coming up this season is the biggest one in a long, long time. I know the FA Cup was big, but for me, because it'll be the new season, we'll see what business we have done and how much we've closed the gap, if we've closed the gap at all. This will be the game, because they are treble winners, no matter what we say they are. They do have 115 charges pending, but they have won a treble as of now, and they will be the team to beat next season. So this will be the game at 3 o'clock on the 28th of October that will determine how far we've come. And then we got Fulham, then we got Luton, Everton, which we should win those games. And then we got Newcastle, which will be hard, Newcastle away, because I think Newcastle will be thereabouts. And we'll see how Chelsea are under Pochettino, if they're going to be a threat. Then we've got Bournemouth, and then we've got Liverpool then on the 16th of December away from home. Then a trip to West Ham. And then we got a home game against Villa, away against Nottingham Forest. And there you go. The last game of the year will be against Nottingham Forest. And then in the new year, our first game to kick off the new year will be against Tottenham Hotspur. So, it's going to be interesting this season. It would have been better if the ownership was sorted out, obviously, and then the manager then could probably bring in the players that he actually wants to bring in. Maybe he has put down a lot of players and, wants that he really wants, and then if you can't get them, well, then here's me second choices, maybe, a bit like Mourinho a few years back. But this ownership business should have been sorted out. In fairness, it's gone on for 7 months. Should have been sorted out about 5. Should have been sorted out within 3 or 4 months, to be quite honest with you. But I have a theory on all of that. I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe was ever buying Manchester United, because the Premier League clubs did pass this thing that potential new owners couldn't buy clubs using loans and stuff like that. So I don't even think Sir Jim was ever even really seriously in the race. And the Glazers used basically Sir Jim to squeeze Sheikh Jassim out of 6 billion, because that's what they wanted all along. But that's just my theory. That's just what I think has gone on. It's not actual fact. I want to make that clear. But I reckon he was never really serious. There was even rumours that he might have to sell Leon to fund him buying the club. And I don't think he has the money. So I don't think he was really serious. And I think that's why the Glazers went to the PSG owner to have a word with Sheikh and say, look, if you give us 6 billion, we'll go. Tell them 6 billion is what we want. And that's what I reckon's happened. I reckon they've used, and I think Sir Jim has probably been in on it, to be quite honest. Because remember, he said the Glazers were nice and all of that in that interview. I don't think he was really serious about buying Manchester United. I think, like Sir Jim, I think they knew that the Saudis would have the stronger bid. And I think this has just been a play all along. I don't think Sir Jim ever had the money. And the Glazers have wanted 6 billion, because apparently when the deal gets done, Sir Jim might have a situation where he has part of the shares of the club, or I read something. Now, whether that's true, and I don't know how he gets involved in it somehow, but he never really had the money to buy Manchester United or nothing like it. And I think it's all been well played. Whether it's been very frustrating, but the Glazers are business people, right? And they've played a master stroke. They've dragged this out for as long as they can to get the 6 billion. Now, people have said, well, Sheikh could have ended all this by giving the 6 straight away. I'm still going to say I don't think Manchester United's worth 6 billion. They're worth about 3.5, 4.5 billion at most. He offered over 5. They want 6 because they're greedy, right? It's as simple as that. And just because he has all that money, Manchester United fans think he should just give it anyway. No, I'm sorry. It's easy for you to say because it's not your money. You know, at the end of the day, he is a businessman. You know, and he will want to make some money. Yes, he'll invest in the club. Yes, he'll invest in the infrastructure. Yes, he'll invest in the stadium, invest in the squad. But he needs to make money. He's a businessman. So it's all well and good for all you United fans saying, "Oh, you should just pay it." It's not your money. It's easy for you to say. If it was your money, and if you had 6 billion, you wouldn't pay 6 billion for Manchester United. You just wouldn't. Because I wouldn't. If I had all that money in the world, I wouldn't buy it. I'd say, look, club is worth I've looked at your financials, right? The club is worth 3.5, but to get you out, I'll give you 4.5 billion to 5 billion. Now live. But no, they want 6 billion. Because they're greedy. So maybe Sheikh Jassim has decided to give the 6 billion now. And you know, he did say at the start of this process, and I think a lot of Manchester United fans forget this, he said he wasn't going to be ripped off, but he's going to be ripped off. And if he's paying the 6 billion, well then I have to give it to him. That proves to me that he really wants the club, but he wanted to see if he could get it down, because rightly so, he's a businessman. But if he's paying the 6 billion, all well and good. Man United become, and as I've made clear, guys, I didn't like Sir Jim's bid, and I don't like Qatar's bid either. But asking to get the Glazers out at this stage, we can discuss and have the debates about the moral implications of a Qatari takeover. But for now, the main aim and the goal is to get rid of the Glazers from this football club and stop these parasites from bringing this club down any further. It's as simple as that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure tomorrow, because you know it's a Monday, all of these reports that we've spoke about, there'll either be more news on them or it'll be just more bull from the media out there. And remember, the media that are reporting on all of these transfer rumours are the same media that jumped the gun and said deal was done with Qatar and all of this. Even Tier 1 journalists slipped up on it and even said that it was sold, and it wasn't the case. So, you know, yeah, you can listen to journalists and listen to the stuff that they put out, but I don't know. See, this is what I hate about this fandom, and it's because of the Glazers as well. But any time a Tier 1 journalist reports on United being linked to a player, right, when it doesn't happen, right, they automatically blame the club because the club didn't do enough or this, that, and the other, right? Has it ever occurred to you that these Tier 1 journalists are talking out their backside, not know what they're talking about? Just like they haven't known what they're talking about by this whole Qatari deal that's supposed to be happening, right? You know, they get a few things right. Not all Tier 1 journalists get everything right. They never do, right? The Martio was number one when it came to transfer windows, transfers, and giving information on players years ago, right? Now it's Fabrizio Romano, but even he has dropped the ball this time. So, you know, it happens with all of these journalists. But I hate the fact that the Man United fans out there, there are some that literally take, you know, these reports as gospel. Oh, well, then we have to be in for him. And then when it doesn't happen, oh, United just didn't do enough to get him. That may not be the case. And in the case of Kim Min Jae, his release clause, as I said, doesn't enact until July, right? So even if Bayern Munich are talking to him and apparently he has agreed personal terms. This has happened before, by the way. Players have agreed personal terms. But if Manchester United do what Bayern Munich do, and they decide to enact that release clause, well, then the player will have a choice. Does he want to go with Bayern Munich, or does he want to go with Manchester United? And then Manchester United could probably come back to him and say, well, what's Bayern Munich offering you? Right? They'll ask his agent, what are they offering you? Okay, this is what we're offering you. So don't rule out now. But the thing about it is, if you go for a player like him, what's his release clause? 57, 60, whatever £1 million, right? That's half of your budget gone on the defender. So then you've got to make the choice then, unless you sell players, then you've got to make the choice then, well then what's the next top priority? And for me, that'd be a striker, right? So then that's your money gone on a striker, that's your budget gone on a striker. Then you're relying on the club to sell players then to try bringing in another midfielder, right? But fans thinking that we're getting Mason Mount, Jordan Pickford, and then all of these other names that we've linked to, we just don't have the budget. So just be careful what report. You know, I'm not saying all the journalists out there, you know, don't come out with stuff. They do, and a lot of them, you know, have at some point gotten some information right, but they don't always get it right, and they certainly haven't gotten it right. Listen, for me, this whole Qatari thing has opened my eyes to a lot of these journalists, right? A lot of them jumped the gun over the last couple of weeks and months over this, and they're doing the same with transfers as well. I remember the British media do hate Manchester United, and they deliberately put out stories like this to turn the fans against the club as well, right? And don't think it doesn't happen, because it actually does happen, right? The club is hated. Just even look at the way they commentate on their games and the media talk about us. They don't like us, right? It's all Liverpool, United, City, Liverpool, City, Newcastle. United never featured Arsenal. United never featured in it. Even though we were doing the same thing as Newcastle were doing, it was all Newcastle, Newcastle, Newcastle. So anyway, a lot of angry United fans out there. The hashtag Glazers Born in Hell has 1,786 tweets. A lot of Man United fans are angry. But I do think a lot of Man United fans go over the top when it comes to their transfer rumours. I mean, if you were to believe every single rumour over the years, we've been linked to over 1,000 players in 3 seasons. And it's just not the case. It's just journalists, because Man United's so popular. Talk about Man United, get it out there, get the story out there, get clicks, and that's that. But the last thing I actually want to talk about, Darren Fletcher's, just briefly, Darren Fletcher's twin sons. Darren Fletcher is the technical director at Manchester United, as you know, and he has 2 sons, Jack and Tyler Fletcher. Jack and Tyler Fletcher actually went to Manchester City, signed for Manchester City because their academy is literally better than ours. So they signed. But apparently now United are going to buy the two brothers back for a substantial price now, because apparently the 2 of them are very good players. Now, I haven't seen them play, so I can't say, but all indications is that these 2 lads are absolutely great footballers. So and incidentally, I think one plays for England and one plays for Scotland. But apparently we're going to buy them. But this just goes to show you again the ridiculousness of Manchester United. Darren Fletcher is a Manchester United legend, whether you like it or not. He is to me. And he doesn't leave his kids in the Man U academy. He sends them off to City's academy. And now we're going to buy them back. We don't even have a decent academy to grow these players and to nurture these players. we have to send them to different clubs. Absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see what comes of that. But that's being reported by the media as well, which I find kind of, as I said, a bit ironic that would actually happen. But there you go. That's how bad we are as a club. That's how badly run we are as a club. But I want to get into this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer business. So apparently the rumor is, and again it's rumor because it's coming from the media, but apparently the rumor is if Sheikh Jassim's bid is successful to buy Manchester United, he will be offering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and other legendary players roles at the club. Now, I remember fans, because I want to remind fans of this, just in case we see a lot of them out there saying that that's a great idea. I remember under Ollie's reign that a lot of the fans were complaining exactly about that, because we had Michael Carrick there, Darren Fletcher, other ex-players, and people were saying, it was becoming a bit of a boys' club for ex-players to come in at United. Listen, unless they're coming in as ambassadors for the club, i.e. nowhere near the first team, right, I have no problem. If they're bringing Ollie in to manage the youth players, I wouldn't have a problem with that. He could hone his managerial career there anyway, if he wanted to. But again, I don't know if I feel comfortable with an ex-manager like Ollie coming in back to the club. I'm not going to say it would undermine Ten Hag, but I just don't think it's a good idea. And I've heard a lot recently from, a lot of these Qatari accounts that are out there now, because obviously Sheikh Jassim is trying to buy the club. And the stuff that they're talking about that Sheikh Jassim is supposed to be doing, some of it I don't like. I mean, he wants to tear down Old Trafford, apparently. No, you're not going to tear down Old Trafford, right? And then I heard this stuff, right, about bringing back legends. And there's other stuff I've heard as well that I don't like the sound of, where, there was this thing about, giving the fans the option to have a choice of a player that he wanted to bring in. That was reported a couple of months ago. Now it could be it's probably all bull, right? Just for people to get Man United fans annoyed. But Sheikh Jassim should have no say in transfer recruitment, right? That's left to the manager and the people around them. They know what's best for the squad. As for bringing back former legends, as I said, if you want to bring them back as ambassadors to represent Manchester United across the world, absolutely. But if you're going to be bringing them in around our manager, anywhere around near the first team setup, I am absolutely 100% against that, right? You undermine the manager when you do that anyway. And we cannot undermine Ten Hag. Ten Hag has to be left to do his own thing, bring in what players he wants, and not have ex-players breathing down his neck. Right? And I don't want to see Ollie become the new, technical director of football or whatever it is that, the guy that helps out the manager with transfers that all these clubs have. Ollie is not experiencing that role anyway. Van der Sar is. If you want to help Ten Hag, you try everything to get Van der Sar. But again, this is a bad idea, and this is why, look, forget about all the other stuff about Qatar and the moral implications, but there are some things that I've heard, that he is proposing that I don't like, and I hope aren't true. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if he buys the club, there's nothing we could do as fans. We just have to hope that he does right by the club. And that's it. I'm going to leave it there. But if you do watch this live stream later, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your opinion. And I will be back soon when there is more stuff to talk about. I'm pretty sure tomorrow there'll be plenty of stuff to talk about because the media, they never take a day off. But I'm pretty sure we'll get some developments on some of these rumor deals next week anyway. In particular, the Mason Mount and the Jordan Pickford deals, which again, I'm just going to say um, that we shouldn't be wasting money on Jordan Pickford and just keep David De Gea as our goalkeeper, and maybe bring back Dean Henderson and say to Dean, look, this is the way I'm doing it. I've got a number one and a number two, but I will be rotating, But he has to do something because Jordan Pickford ain't it, folks. And neither is Mason Mount, by the way. And for all those fans saying he's better than what we've got, yeah, but we don't need better than what we've got. We need players that are actually going to help us challenge Manchester City, the Liverpools, and the Chelseas and the Arsenals next year. Right? Glazers lowered the standards. Man United fans have lowered the standards, in my opinion. Right? Bottom line is they're not good enough, right? And we ain't winning jack with those, right? We're not winning jack with those. Remember, if we do manage to get rid of players, right, we bring them in, we're actually weaker. We're not stronger, we're weaker. So I don't get the logic, and I don't get what people see in Mason Mount. He's not a great player. He's not even a good player. He had two good seasons at one time, and everybody judges him off those 2 seasons. No, he's brutal. He's brutal. He's not Man United level, right? Jordan Pickford ain't Man United level either. God's sake, man. Come on, stop lowering your standards and demand better from your club. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you all very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to you next week here on Noel, the Red Devil. See, I nearly did it again. Noel, the Red Devil. I'll be back very soon. Have a good Sunday, folks. See you. Enjoy. Bye-bye.